Hi, welcome, and this is Fashion Talks. My name is Hildemieke, and I will be talking about fashion today, and probably any other episode you'll see me talk. I want to start with the designer that got me into sportswear. I already was a kidswear designer, and when I saw her work, what she did, man, I had to get on the sportswear train. Well, to be honest, I was a little bit fed up with designing children's wear. No offense, I mean, some people love it. I loved it for 7 years. I loved designing kidswear, but it felt a bit like I've seen it and done it, and I felt I needed a change. And then I saw this collection and it changed my world. It was this business trip I was on in New York, and I went to the Adidas store and they had this brand new collection. This was way back in 2010, and I had to take a peek. It was amazing. It was like nothing I've ever seen before. It was different fabrics, different graphics. It was sleek, it was feminine, it was sporty. It was so nice to see. And that got my attention, and I felt I want to design that. I want to design stuff like that. So that changed my whole life. I was living in the Netherlands back then, and I had a house, I had a husband, I had 2 cats. Oh, wait up. Let me finish the story. I didn't abandon the cats, no worries. But I did move to the UK, brought my cats and my husband with me, and changed my life, and it changed everything for me. And that's why when I decided to do this show, that I felt that my first show should be about the designer that changed my life the most. And it was Miss Stella McCartney. And I would love to introduce you or tell you more about her. I'm sure you're familiar with her name. Not only, of course, her name, but her dad's name. He's quite a little bit known in the world. So let's talk about Stella McCartney. She grew up with 2 famous parents, which I'm not going to talk about loads because, let's face it, there's always a lot of stuff said about those 2. But I think it's more interesting to look at Stella McCartney as a person and as a designer. Okay, having 2 famous parents of course helped her career, especially in the beginning. When she was 13, she designed her first jacket. I mean, that's amazing. When I was 13, I just wore whatever I could find in my closet, and I just didn't bother with thinking how I could make something look more awesome or cool. But obviously Stella did. And 3 years later, when she was only 15 or 16, she did an internship in Paris at Christian Lacroix. And that's something that probably most 16-year-olds wouldn't even dream of, or let alone have or do. So that was the start of her career. After that, she started working as a tailor at Savile Row. People that don't know, Savile Row is the tailor street in London. So all these tailors are located there, and basically that's where you need to go to get a nice menswear suit. So she studied that, and then she started fashion school. She entered there under a false name, because the name McCartney, everybody wants to talk to you and be your friend. So she changed her name to go to school. But at her final show, she did something awesome. Also, people without famous parents could only dream of. She had her friends do a catwalk. And that's normal for fashion school people, that you try to get your friends to do your shows, especially if they're tall and pretty. But she had some very interesting pretty friends, because her friends were Kate Moss and Naomi Campbell, who were already famous back then. So she asked them to do her show, because, well, if you know them, why not ask them? And they did. So that's why her graduation show was already a huge success and talked about, because who wouldn't talk about a collection with Kate Moss in it? Let's be real. So after her graduation, she started working for Chloe, and even a year later, she became head designer, following up Karl Lagerfeld, which is pretty amazing. She was only 25 back then. Can you imagine being 25 and having that position? And a lot of people were asking him, like, what do you feel about that? A 25-year-old following your footsteps. I think he said, well, I asked them for my follow-up to choose a name that's known. What I meant was known in the fashion industry. I know her name is known, but is she that good? And people asked what she felt, that he said something quite offensive, to be honest, about that. And she was like, I'm just excited that he knows my name. And quite awesome reply if you ask me. I think watching a lot of interviews with her, she's overall quite a nice and lovely person, and quite friendly and quite normal somehow. And you know, she probably didn't have a really normal life, but she keeps saying that her family was famous and they traveled the world. Her parents also tried to give them a normal family life and good values, and I think those values are what makes her stand out. Even though she always says that her values are the thing that are keeping her company a lot smaller than she could have been. And the values I'm talking about is the fact that she is a vegetarian and she doesn't use fur or leather in any of her products, which is pretty awesome. And next to that, she does a lot for sustainability in fashion. She's a leader in that case, and that's also why I find her hugely interesting. She has been sustainable designer ever since she started, which is amazing to me, because back then no one was doing that. No one was talking about the impact of fashion. And she started that conversation, and she started looking for stuff. She has man-made silk. She has great fake fur. She's got great fake leather. She feels like, well, why should we harm animals if we don't have to? I mean, leather, a lot of people think that's a byproduct, which isn't. Those cows or other animals are especially breed for leather. So yeah, I think that's great. I think it's amazing that she, in her position, didn't choose to make the most money, but went for the story and went for her message and her priorities. So I think that's also why she is super awesome. Another thing I find super awesome about Stella McCartney is her style. Her style can be described as very feminine without being too girly or too feministic. It's kind of like a little bit tomboy, chic kind of look. I should not talk about it, but just show you. Here are some images of Stella McCartney, and you'll see what I mean. It's always very sleek, very sophisticated, but it's also real. It's for real women. I think most women would feel comfortable wearing Stella McCartney because it's chic, it's nice, it's pretty. You can see she's a tailor. You can see it. It's so nicely cut, everything. And I think the cut is basically what defines Stella McCartney. Her eye for cutting a great garment. Looking at the collections of Stella McCartney, I just wanted to know what's her secret. Where does she get her inspiration from? And I found an interview in which she is talking about her design process. And what she's sharing is that she always wears all the samples herself. So she does the fitting and she's just trying them on and see if it works for her. So basically she designs for herself, which I think is, in her case, working out really well. I know a lot of designers that wouldn't work out. A lot of big designers, of course, it works. And she's one of those lucky bastards because she could get like any garment she wants. Basically, she likes all her stuff because she designs it from her perspective and from stuff she wants. So that's awesome. And another thing she said, well, I am inspired by basically everything around me. Sometimes it's just a bug I can see walking on a leaf, or when I go horseback riding, a vision of the horizon I can see in front of me. Anything can be her source of inspiration. And I think that's quite a lovely way of looking at it. She's like, well, I'm a very busy person, so I cannot go out and just be inspired and go think about ideas. I live my life, and that's the way it goes. Okay, summing it up. Stella McCartney, amazing woman. Look at her, she looks awesome. She's 47. She looks extremely young, if you ask me. She's a mother of 4, happily married, lives in UK most of the time. She is, of course, the daughter of, but we're not going to talk about it, because everybody else does. In every interview, everybody is just pointing that one out. And I just don't want to do that. I want to talk about Stella. So, what else? Oh, of course, amazing designs. Her tailoring is spot on. She's awesome with her tailor work. She knows what women want, and she makes it, and that's pretty cool. Also, her eco-friendliness and her animal friendliness with her fake leathers and her fake furs, her fake silks. Silk is also harmful to animals, in case you didn't know that. Yeah, I think that's pretty awesome as well. And I think she has worked very hard to come where she's at now. And I love her Adidas Stella collection. I love her bags, her shoes, her everything. If I had the money, I would wear Stella all day and every day for everything. I hope you liked my video. If you did, thumbs up. Follow my YouTube channel if you would like to stay posted on new episodes coming up every now and then. I'll be talking about fashion, designers, inspiration, anything to do with that. So, see you next time. Bye.